Are you worried about the cultural differences between our practices here in the U.S. and those in Germany? Today I will share with you some information you will need to help you on your upcoming trip. In anticipation of this trip, I have done some research. First, I'll give you a brief overview of Germany. Next, I'll tell you some basic information about communicating and getting around. And last, I'll tell you some things that will help you succeed in your business interactions there. So what is Germany like? Germany is one of the largest countries in Europe. According to Culturegrams, the estimated population is 81 million. They are one of the top economic powers in the world and have one of the strongest economies in the European Union. Germans are very proud of their heritage in the arts such as music, history, and science, and they expect appreciation from others. Germans appreciate their privacy. They are not overly social with those that they do not know well. The climate in Germany is moderate, with temperatures ranging from 21 to 35 degrees this time of year. Now that we have covered some of the basics of Germany, let me move on to getting around successfully in Germany. Primary language is German, although as Culturegrams states, quote, English is widely understood, is a required school subject, and many employees continue taking extra English classes after being hired by a company. Even so, Germans appreciate the effort of visitors to at least attempt to use their language even on a small scale. Some common phrases in German are Guten Tag, which means good day, Danke, which means thank you, and Bitte schön, which means you're welcome. Germans take everything literally, so say what you mean politely without fear you will offend. There are some things about nonverbal communication that you need to be aware of. Eye contact is serious and direct and should be maintained as long as a person is addressing you. Talking with your hands in your pockets is considered very disrespectful, and chewing gum in public is inappropriate. When you get to Germany, cars are usually only used for touring or long trips. The transportation network is a much more efficient way to travel, especially in areas of high traffic and limited parking. The transportation network is made up of subways, buses, and trains, and the trains connect most cities and towns. When you arrive at the airport, you will take the train from the airport to your hotel, and there will be people at the airport to assist you in purchasing the correct tickets. Now I will move on to the most important information you will need. How can you successfully conduct business in Germany? What is the appropriate business attire? On the Executive Planet website, according to Alexia and Stefan Peterson, who live in Germany and are consultants and trainers to a wide spectrum of companies on the topic of intercultural communication, corporate and banking attire is dark conservative and formal for both men and women. Otherwise, dress is relatively casual. Casual or informal generally means tastefully coordinated clothing, not t-shirts and jeans as here in the United States. Suits are worn by managers in the upper levels, but seldom by clerks and other office staff. Women should avoid wearing excessive jewelry or excessive cosmetics. It would be appropriate for you to dress more on the formal side than the informal side in your first meeting. Khakis and a blazer would not be appropriate. When you greet someone in Germany that you're doing business with, most common greeting would be a handshake. A man will wait for a woman to extend her hand before shaking it, and will always shake a woman's hand before a man's when in mixed company. The most common verbal greeting is Guten Tag, which again means good day. And when you address a stranger or a colleague, you would address them with a title, which would be Herr for Mr. or Frau for Mrs., along with the person's professional title and last name. First names are traditionally reserved to be used by family and close friends. Germans are not overly social people with those they do not know well, so expect to do business, not socialize. They are not open about their personal lives, so try to avoid those topics and possibly have some impersonal topics to talk about should the need arise. And always avoid topics involving World War II. Gift giving is appropriate as long as the following guidelines are followed. Acceptable gifts to give in the office would be quality pens, office items with your company logo, or imported liqueurs. Stay away from beer, as Germany already has some of the best in the world. If you are invited to a home, an appropriate gift, and probably the most common, would be an odd number of flowers, not roses or lilies. Roses are used for romance and lilies are used in funerals. Fine chocolates or imported liqueurs would also be acceptable. And you should always avoid gifts of significant value. If you're going to be dining with your business associates, you should know that if you're dining out, the person that extends the invitation is expected to pay. In restaurants, the bill usually includes a service charge and is paid at the table. The bill is often rounded up to give the server a little extra tip. If you're invited to one's home, of course, be punctual and bring one of the acceptable gifts for the hostess. If you should choose to bring flowers, make sure you unwrap them before presenting them to your hostess. You should stand when the host enters a room, and also it is courteous to stand when a woman enters the room, and remain standing until you are offered a seat again. Since dinner there is served a little later, usually between 7 and 8:30, dinner parties may last well into the night. Very few foods are intended to be eaten with the hands, so always use utensils. Germans even eat pizza with utensils. And decline politely if no more food or drink is desired. It will not be taken as an insult. However, do not leave significant portions of food on your plate, as this can indicate there is something wrong with the food. This is especially important if you are dining in one's home. I've given you some important information to assist with your trip. Now let me conclude. I began by giving you some general information about Germany, then talking about how to get around and how to communicate, and finally gave you important tips to do business successfully there. On your upcoming trip to Germany, I hope you will remember some of the tips I have given you and use them. Yeah, don't stop it. I think I have to record again.
I don't know for